quiet girl was being bullied for her skin. The new girl had a choice: walk away or fight back. What she did made her a legend. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from in the comments. The sun hung low and heavy in the humid Baton Rouge sky as Maya Williams stepped through the worn front doors of Madison High School. Her braids clung to her neck, damp with sweat, and her jaw was set hard. She didn't expect a warm welcome. She didn't expect anything. She was here because she had to be. This was her last shot. 2 schools behind her, 2 warnings ignored, 2 fights too many, and this time, if she failed, there wouldn't be another chance. Beside her, Miss Laverne, her grandmother, held her hand for a second too long before letting go. Maya looked up at the weathered building, chipped bricks, rusted rails, a school that had seen too much and cared too little. She exhaled slowly. "Remember, baby," Miss Laverne said gently as they walked toward the principal's office, "you don't owe the world your anger, just your truth." Principal Gaines looked up from her file like he was reading a criminal record. He was tall, wiry, and exhausted-looking in a beige suit 2 sizes too big. "Miss Williams," he said dryly, "we have a zero-tolerance policy here. No violence, no exceptions. Do you understand?" "I do," Maya answered, flatly but honestly. When they stepped out into the hallway, the stairs hit her like a wall. Curious, cold, a few snickers. She kept walking, shoulders squared, chin up, not because she wanted to look strong, but because she'd learned that weakness was an invitation in schools like this. Homeroom was on the 2nd floor, room 204. The classroom was small, lit by struggling fluorescent lights and the distant hum of an ancient AC unit. Mrs. Bennett, a plump woman with soft eyes and commanding presence, stood at the door and smiled warmly. "Class," she announced, "we have a new student joining us today. This is Maya Williams. Be kind." No one spoke. Maya gave a small nod and scanned the room. In the back row sat the loudest group, athletes, girls with sharp eyes and louder whispers. She avoided them. Her eyes landed on an empty seat next to a girl with very light brown skin, a neat cardigan, and tight curls pulled back in a bun. The girl was scribbling in a notebook, quiet, detached. Maya sat beside her. For a while, there was nothing but the sound of pencil scratches and the distant roar of the school bell. Then the girl whispered without looking up, "I'm Sky." Maya nodded. "Maya." They didn't speak again during class, but something small passed between them. A thread barely there. The day crawled by. In the hallways, Maya felt the tension more than the noise. Students parted like water when she passed, murmuring. She heard words. "Fight," "expelled," "don't mess with her." She kept her head down. During lunch, she saw Sky sitting alone at the edge of the courtyard, picking at food with her fork. The girl's skin was paler than most of the students in the school, and Maya had already noticed the look she got for it. A few boys at a nearby table whispered, too loud on purpose, "Is she even black?" Mixed girls think they're better than everybody. Sky heard it. Maya saw her flinch. Maya sat down across from her. "You gonna fight them too?" Sky asked, her tone dry but not unkind. Maya smirked. "Not yet." There was silence again, but it wasn't uncomfortable. Sky pushed her fruit cup across the table. "You want this? I hate peaches." Maya took it. "Thanks." Later, in gym class, Maya noticed the same boys from lunch. One of them, Marcus, built like a linebacker, shouldered her deliberately as she passed. She didn't respond, but later she saw him approach Sky by the lockers. "Why you so quiet all the time?" Marcus asked, loud. "You think you're too good for us?" Sky tried to step aside, but he blocked her path. Maya dropped her books and walked up behind him, her fists clenched instinctively. Marcus turned and laughed. "Oh, it's the new girl. You gonna punch your way through school again?" Maya didn't blink. Walk away. Make me. The threat lingered in the air, hot and electric. But Maya didn't raise a fist. She didn't move. She just stared, locked in. The silence stretched. Then a teacher turned the corner. Marcus backed off with a grin and a snide, "Whatever." Sky exhaled. "You didn't hit him." "I wanted to," Maya admitted. "But you didn't. Not this time." After school, they walked home together. No plan, just two girls heading in the same direction. Sky talked about books she liked, weird facts she collected. Maya listened. Actually listened. It felt strange. It felt good. She wasn't used to softness. By the end of the week, they sat together in every class they shared. Scott told her about the insults that didn't come from white kids, but from her own. "Too light. Not black enough. Traitor." She paused. "You'd think they'd go after the loud ones, but it's worse when they come for the quiet." Maya understood that more than she could say. They didn't hug. They didn't share secrets. But Maya knew, deep down, that Sky was the first person in a long time who didn't expect her to be anyone but herself. And that, in its own way, was the most dangerous thing of all. Because when you let someone in, you also give them something to take away. Sky showed up to school on a Thursday with a faint red mark blooming across the side of her cheekbone, half hidden beneath her curls. Maya noticed it the moment she sat down beside her in homeroom. Sky didn't offer an explanation, and Maya didn't push. But she watched more closely that day, and what she saw made her hands curl into fists again. The whispers about Sky hadn't stopped. They'd only gotten more creative. Notes slipped into her locker. Half-heard comments. Dirty looks. Someone had written "whitewashed" in eyeliner across the back of her chair in English class. Another student snorted. She thinks being friends with the pit bull makes her immune. Maya nearly stood up then and there, but Sky laid a hand on her arm and shook her head. "Don't," she whispered. Maya sat, but her chest burned. The day boiled over during gym. Sky was changing in the locker room when Vanessa Moore and two of her cheer squad friends cornered her. Maya walked in just in time to hear the end of it. "You don't belong with us or them," Vanessa said, "so quit pretending." Then Maya's voice cut through the space like a blade. "She doesn't have to belong to anyone." Vanessa turned slowly, smirking. "And here comes the guard dog." Maya stepped closer. "Say what you want of me. But you touch her again, we're going to see how flexible you really are." There was a pause. Vanessa scoffed, rolled her eyes, and walked out with her girls behind her. Sky stood shaking slightly, but she didn't cry. "Thanks," she said, her voice strained. "Don't thank me," Maya muttered. "I'm not done." Later that afternoon, as they walked home together, Sky finally said, "You shouldn't always have to protect me." Maya stopped. "Maybe not, but I want to." "But what happens when they go after you instead?" Maya looked ahead. "Then I hit back harder." But they both knew she didn't mean just physically. There was something shifting in Maya, a question she hadn't let herself ask before. What if there was another way? That night, Maya returned to her Uncle Jamal's gym. The bell over the door jingled. The place smelled like sweat, old leather, and memories. Jamal raised an eyebrow when he saw her. "Haven't seen you this fired up in a while." Maya didn't answer immediately. She just started wrapping her hands. "You training for something?" Jamal asked. "For someone," she said quietly. "She needs to know how to stand up." Over the next few days, Maya brought Sky to the gym. At first, Sky stood stiffly near the wall, unsure. Maya didn't push. She simply worked the bag, letting Sky watch her movements. Left, right, step, breathe. Eventually, Sky put on gloves. Her punches were weak at first, her form awkward, but she showed up the next day, and the day after that. She started to move smoother. Her breath synced with her fists. She didn't talk much during drills, but Maya could see it, the fire growing behind her eyes. They weren't the only ones in the gym anymore. A few other girls joined, curious. Then came Tyler. Tall, broad-shouldered, quiet, former friend of Marcus. Maya tensed the moment she saw her walk through the doors, but Tyler just stood at the entrance and said, "I'm tired of being used to hurt people. Can I start over?" Jamal watched her carefully, then glanced at Maya. Maya thought for a long moment, then nodded. "Start with footwork," she said. "Everything else comes later." They trained together for weeks, Maya, Sky, and Tyler. They didn't call themselves a team, but they moved like one. In school, they sat together. In the gym, they pushed each other. Sky got faster. Tyler learned control. Maya started to smile more, just a little. But peace is never permanent. It started again, quietly. Sky found her locker broken into, her books soaked. Maya's name was scrawled across the locker door in crude, mocking letters, Queen of the Ghetto. Tyler's locker was next. A printed photo from last year's yearbook with a red X over her face. They reported it. The office promised to look into it. Nothing happened. Then Sky came to school one morning with trembling hands and a look in her eyes Maya hadn't seen before. "There was a message on my porch," she whispered, written in chalk. It said, "Stay silent. Stay safe." Maya didn't speak. She just took Sky's hand. Later that day, Maya found herself in the hallway with Marcus and Jason, their backs to her, laughing. She stepped forward once. Her fist twitched. Then she heard Sky's voice from behind her. "Don't give them what they want." Maya froze. The words sank in. She backed away. That night, she hit the bag harder than ever. Not because she was angry, but because she didn't know what else to do. When Jamal came in, he said, "You're fighting ghosts." "I don't know how to protect someone without breaking something," she whispered. "You're already protecting her," he replied, "by teaching her to stand." By the end of the week, Sky wasn't flinching anymore when someone brushed her shoulder. Tyler cracked jokes during drills. Maya slept easier, just for a while. Then Sky didn't show up to school. No texts, no calls, no answer at the door. And just like that, everything went cold. The first sign that something was wrong came in the form of silence. Sky was never loud, but she was consistent. Always answered texts with a dot or a LO. Always showed up 5 minutes early to the gym. Always waited outside homeroom with her headphones on and a book in her lap. But on Monday, she wasn't at school. No message, no update, just absence. Maya told herself it was nothing. A cold, a family thing. But when Tuesday came and Sky still wasn't there, Maya felt the cold spread under her skin. Tyler noticed too. They didn't say much to each other, but when Maya turned to look at her during lunch, Tyler already had her phone out. "Still nothing," she said quietly. Maya didn't wait for the final bell. She and Tyler walked out of school before last period, jumped on their bikes, and pedaled through the flat heat of the Baton Rouge afternoon toward Sky's neighborhood. The house was small and neat, with a porch sagging slightly in the middle. Sky's mom, Miss Carson, was standing outside with a towel in her hands, her face tight with worry. "She said she was heading to the library after school yesterday," she said. "She never came home. She's not answering her phone. That's not like her." Maya's stomach dropped. Tyler clenched his jaw. "We'll find her," Maya said. They checked the library first. Nothing. then the old courtyard behind the gym where Sky sometimes went to read. Still nothing. It wasn't until they circled back to the rear of the school near the old maintenance building that they saw it. A scrap of paper lying on the ground, torn, familiar handwriting. It was part of Sky's math notes. Nearby, a broken pencil. And then, behind the rusted dumpster, Maya saw it. Sky's backpack. Open, empty. Maya's pulse thundered in her ears. Tyler crouched beside the bag and picked up something else. A pink phone case, cracked and dusty. "They took her," he said. He didn't have to say who. Maya already knew. Jason Harrow, the cousin of Marcus Boone, the boy who smiled like he had something sharp behind his teeth. The one who had transferred in only a month ago and already had the teachers eating out of his hand. She'd seen him watching them in the hallway, felt his eyes. She should have known. The text came an hour later. A blocked number. No name. Just a message. "If you want the freak back, come to the old storage building tonight. No cops, come alone." Maya showed it to Tyler. He didn't ask questions. He just said, "Let's go." The sun had just dipped below the horizon when they arrived at the storage building, a squat concrete structure on the edge of the old football field. Abandoned, perfect for cowards. The inside stank of mold and dust and fear. Maya pushed the door open, every muscle tight. Inside, Jason stood with Marcus and two other boys she didn't recognize. Behind them, tied to a chair, was Sky. Her lip was split, one eye swollen, but she was awake. She saw Maya, and despite everything, she smiled. "You came," she whispered. Jason grinned. "Touchin', isn't it?" "Let her go," Maya said, stepping forward. "Make me," Jason replied. Marcus moved first, lunging forward like a charging bull, but Tyler met him with a clean punch to the ribs that knocked the air out of him. The other boys rushed. Maya ducked, spun, and slammed her elbow into one of their stomachs. He dropped. The second one swung a pipe. She caught his wrist, twisted, and sent him sprawling into a stack of broken chairs. Jason grabbed Sky's chair, dragging it backward. "One more step and she gets it," he shouted, pulling a knife from his jacket. The room froze. Maya's breath came fast. "You don't want to do this," she said. "Shut up," Jason barked. "You think you're a hero? You're just another angry girl who thinks her fists make her right." "No," Maya said quietly. "I think standing up for people makes me strong. I think love does. That's what scares you." His hand twitched. That was all she needed. She moved fast, lowered her shoulder and hit him with enough force to knock him off balance. The knife clattered to the floor. Tyler tackled him from behind. Maya rushed to Sky, cut the ropes with the blade she'd picked up. Sky collapsed into her arms, trembling but breathing. "I knew you'd come," she whispered again. Maya didn't answer. She just held her. The police came 5 minutes later. Someone had heard the noise and called. Jason and the others were arrested. They tried to lie, but the bruises, the weapons, and the phone footage told the truth. Maya and Tyler were suspended temporarily for fighting, but then the story got out. Parents showed up at the school board. Miss Carson spoke at the hearing. Muffled anger turned to outrage. Jason and Marcus were expelled. The others disappeared. Sky came back to school a week later. She walked through the halls with her head high. Tyler kept training. Maya kept teaching. The gym grew full. Girls who had once been silent now hit the bags like they meant it. And Maya, she stopped walking like a loaded weapon. She started walking like someone who knew her power didn't come from her fists. It came from her voice. and she would never let it be silenced again. Weeks passed, but the weight of what happened didn't vanish. It simply settled into the bones of Madison High like a storm that had shaken the walls but hadn't torn them down. Maya walked the halls differently now, not with her shoulders braced for impact, but with a quiet steadiness she had earned every inch of ground beneath her feet, and though some still watched her with narrowed eyes, most stepped aside not in fear, but in something closer to respect. Skye returned to class with a faint scar beneath her eye, and a straightness to her spine that hadn't been there before. She didn't flinch when someone bumped her, she didn't lower her gaze. She raised her hand in class, now asked questions corrected, teachers when they mispronounced names. She even auditioned for the school's poetry reading and read a piece titled "Invisible Isn't the Same as Gone." Maya had never been so proud Tyler kept showing up at the gym. Even after the worst had passed, she trained alongside Maya with discipline and focus. Sometimes she brought other girls with her, girls who had stayed quiet before now. They wanted to learn, and Maya taught them not just how to hit, but how to breathe, how to plant their feet, how to speak even when their voices trembled. Miss Ray, the literature teacher, printed flyers with Maya's name on them and put them on the bulletin board, new after-school program self-defense and empowerment for girls. Instructor Maya Williams' attendance doubled in the first week, and Principal Gaines, though never warm, nodded once when he passed Maya in the hall. She counted that as victory. Not everyone changed. Some students still sneered or whispered, but the air had shifted slightly, like people were remembering that even if the system failed them, they didn't have to fail each other one afternoon. Maya sat behind the gym, the sky heavy with gold and the hum of cicadas. Skye found her there, dropped down beside her, pulled her knees to her chest. They sat in silence for a while, then Skye said softly, "I used to think being quiet kept me safe." Maya didn't look at her, but nodded. "It doesn't," Skye continued, "not really. It just keeps everything bottled up like a shaken soda." She paused until it explodes. Maya glanced over. "You're not quiet anymore." Skye smiled small and real. "Neither are you." They sat for a long time like that until Tyler joined them, sweaty from drills, her hoodie slung over one shoulder. She handed them both water and flopped down into the grass. "We're kind of a squad now, huh?" she said. Maya smirked more, like a storm, and then they laughed, not because everything was fixed, but because they had survived together, and that was something worth laughing about. A month later, Uncle Jamal taped a flyer to the Jim Wall State Youth Self-Defense Tournament, Baton Rouge Civic Center, 3-person team. Maya looked at it, then at Skye and Tyler. "You serious?" Jamal shrugged. "Why not? You've already faced worse, so they trained harder. Maya running drills, Skye improving her form, Tyler adjusting stances like a coach. They weren't polished, but they were determined, and when the day came, they stood together in the ring. Maya wore her mother's old hoodie, faded, but strong. Skye had her notebook tucked into her bag with "Invisible Isn't the Same as Gone" written on the cover. Tyler wrapped her fists in red tape, a reminder of everything they'd fought through. They didn't win every round, but they never quit. They moved like a unit, like a promise, and when they stood at the end, arms raised in solidarity, the crowd rose with them. Maya looked into the stands and saw Miss Laverne, her grandmother, clapping, slow tears running down her cheeks, and for the first time in her life, Maya didn't feel like a weapon. She felt like a leader, like a protector, like someone whole. After the tournament, the gym was fuller than ever. Girls of every shade and voice came not just to fight, but to stand. Maya didn't bark commands, she encouraged, corrected with care. Skye helped organize things now, always with a smile, and Tyler taught warm-ups with quiet strength. They had built something not perfect, not easy, but real. And when Maya sat alone some nights, breathing deep into the quiet, she thought of who she'd been on that first day and how far she'd come. She was still a fighter, but not just with fists. Now she fought for space, for voice, for every girl who thought silence was safety. And now when someone asked her what she wanted to be, she didn't hesitate. "I want to be someone who helps others stand too," she said, and she already was.